The US dollar, or as it's also known, bucks, the mighty greenback, Benjamins. Okay, I've mined all the rap lyrics, I know. But no matter where you are in the world, everyone knows the status and power of the US dollar. And that's because since World War II, the dollar has been the undisputed queen of currencies. It's the currency in which most international trade is conducted, the primary reserve asset held by central banks, and the benchmark for pricing commodities like oil and gold. But is its dominance unshakable? Some are arguing we are beginning to witness the early tremors of de-dollarization, a seismic shift that could reshape the global economic landscape. And in this video, we're going to take a look at those arguments. Is this likely to happen? And if it does, how might it affect your everyday life in tangible ways? By anticipating any shifts and keeping an eye on the signals, you can make informed decisions and position yourself for success in an evolving financial world. If you're new here, welcome to Futureflect. The world is changing fast and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But here, we calmly reflect on the future together, empowering us to not just survive, but thrive in this world of change. Let's break down the forces driving this potential shift: economic, political, and technological. While no single factor guarantees de-dollarization, their combined impact could trigger a profound transformation of the global financial landscape. So first, we have the economic factors. The US is grappling with mounting national debt, which could lead to inflation and erode the dollar's value. The government's interest payments alone are becoming really unwieldy. $1.2 trillion in 2024. That's the highest amount ever recorded. And this is making some, quite understandably, really nervous about the future stability of the US economy, though others argue that the US has historically proven to be more resilient than many may think. But it's not just the debt situation. Rising geopolitical tensions are also playing a role. Countries are increasingly wary of the US using its control over the dollar to impose sanctions or engage in trade wars. This has fueled the desire for greater financial autonomy and reduced vulnerability to US policy decisions. Some even go so far as to say that the dollar has the potential to be weaponized. And economically, we've started to witness a growing trend of countries trading directly with each other, using their own currencies, bypassing the dollar altogether. This reduces their reliance on the US financial system and strengthens their economic autonomy. For example, in March 2023, China and Brazil struck a landmark deal to conduct trade directly using their own currencies, the yuan and the real, without needing to convert it into the dollar first. And countries like Thailand and Malaysia have also established similar frameworks to facilitate trade in their respective currencies. It's not just a matter of shaking hands though. You need infrastructure to support these direct deals. Think of it like building a new set of virtual train tracks to move currencies around directly without needing to go through the busy US dollar station first. And these new tracks are being laid as we speak. The development of alternative payment systems like China's cross-border interbank payment system, also known as CIPS, and Europe's Instex provides a way for them to circumvent the US-dominated SWIFT network, further facilitating trade in non-dollar currencies. So it seems the global financial landscape is becoming a bit more multi-track, shall we say. And while that may make the journey a bit more complex, it could also lead to a more resilient and interconnected world. And if all of that wasn't enough, there's also one more factor to consider, which is emerging technologies that could enable us to participate in financial systems beyond the control of any government. The rise of cryptocurrencies and digital currencies offers a decentralized alternative to traditional fiat currencies, potentially reducing the need for a central reserve currency like the dollar. Blockchain technology is also transforming cross-border payments, making them faster, cheaper, and more secure, further challenging the dominance of traditional banking systems, and in turn, the US dollar. And it's not just about individual empowerment. The development of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs as they're known, could also reshape the global financial landscape. These are basically digital versions of national currencies backed by their respective governments. And they could offer a more efficient and accessible alternative to the dollar for international trades and settlements. So, now that we've explored these driving forces behind de-dollarization, let's shift our focus to the potential scenarios and their implications. But before we dive in, I just want to take another quick moment to understand why this matters to you, regardless of where you live. De-dollarization isn't just a theoretical concept discussed in economic textbooks. It has the potential to impact your everyday life and financial well-being in tangible ways. From the everyday price of your groceries to the value of your savings, the ripple effects of a shifting global financial landscape will be felt far and wide. Think about your retirement savings or that college fund that you're maybe building. Whether you're in the US or abroad, if you have investments or savings in US dollars, their value could decrease if the dollar weakens against other currencies, and that could impact your financial goals and your long-term plans. Say you're planning a dream vacation or a business trip. A weaker dollar could mean maybe your travel budget wouldn't stretch as far. Whether you're an American traveling overseas or someone visiting the US. Even something as simple as ordering that gadget online from an international retailer could become pricier due to fluctuating exchange rates. If de-dollarization disrupts global trade and investment, it could lead to job losses and economic instability worldwide. Industries that are reliant on exports or foreign investment could also be hit hard, affecting the job security or the livelihoods of those around you, no matter where you live. A shift in the global balance of power could lead to increased tensions and even conflicts, potentially affecting travel restrictions, the availability of certain goods, and even the cost of sending money to loved ones overseas. So, what does the future hold? Is de-dollarization inevitable, or is the dollar's reign secure? Let's explore some possible scenarios. In one scenario, we could see a gradual de-dollarization. Let's call this the smooth transition. The dollar's dominance slowly diminishes as other currencies gain traction. This could lead to a more diversified and resilient global financial system, reducing the world's dependence on a single currency. There may be one or two other major currencies that are like the US dollar, and things splinter into multiple regional or block-based systems, each with its own dominant currency. Though that could lead to increased trade barriers and geopolitical tensions, making global cooperation and economic issues even more challenging. There's also a volatile scenario if things move faster than we anticipate, so let's call this the dollar crash. A sudden loss of confidence in the dollar could trigger a financial crisis and economic turmoil. A scramble for alternative reserve currencies could lead to market volatility and uncertainty. The US would face a significant loss of economic and political power. Or perhaps we'll witness a switch away from government currency towards a new decentralized finance system, much like Bitcoin, or something else based on blockchain-like technology. Such a development would fundamentally reshape the global financial system, reducing reliance on any single national currency, and indeed, therefore, any single government. Now, these scenarios aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, and despite what anyone says, the truth is no one knows for sure what path we'll take. As always, on Futureflect, I'm going to encourage you to form your own point of view. But for what it's worth, I'm going to share my take. Of all the scenarios we've explored, I believe the most likely future is one that combines two scenarios. The slow decline of the dollar as we move towards an alternative decentralized financial system. I sense it'll happen slowly, little by little, and then at once, perhaps when a big national debt crisis hits. And that then catalyzes decentralized financial systems because people no longer trust government-backed currency. The benefits of decentralized finance are clear. Faster, cheaper, more secure, cross-border, and crucially, reduced reliance on any single nation's economic policies. Of course, challenges would remain, issues of security and the potential for misuse. But I'm optimistic that we can overcome those hurdles and create a more equitable and efficient global financial system. Imagine a world where your money isn't tied to the fate of any single nation, where you can transact seamlessly across borders, and where financial opportunities are more accessible to everyone. That's the promise of a world beyond national currencies. And on the topic of decentralized finance, it's worth mentioning this isn't going to go unchallenged by governments. There's a huge difference between digital currencies that may be issued by governments, so those CBDCs that we talked about earlier, versus digital currencies that are decentralized and peer-to-peer, like say Bitcoin. The choice and fight between the two may become one of the most defining power struggles of our age. Governments will, quite reasonably, want CBDCs, as it then allows them to coordinate activities of the state, like collecting taxes, spending, and having monetary policy, and so on. But individuals reasonably may decide they can no longer trust central banks and governments for storing value and decide to go off rails into those decentralized systems that are difficult for any government to then monitor or control. Whatever happens, you'll want to keep an eye out on signals over the coming years to see which way things are heading. Now, some interesting signals will include central bank reserves. Monitor the composition of those reserves worldwide. A significant decrease in the percentage of US dollar holdings, coupled with an increase in other currencies, say the euro or the won, could suggest a gradual shift away from the dollar. Also keep an eye on international trade settlements. Track the currencies that are being used to settle those deals. Is there an increase in the use of non-dollar currencies, particularly for trade between major economies, which would be a strong signal of de-dollarization in progress? Have a look at cross-border payment systems, see the adoption and growth of those, anything that bypasses the traditional SWIFT network, which is heavily reliant on the US dollar. Say the wider use of systems like the China cross-border bank system or European Instex. That might indicate a move towards a multipolar financial system. What about commodity pricing? Pay attention to shifts in commodity pricing, especially oil. If more major oil-producing nations start accepting payment in currencies other than the dollar, it could significantly impact the dollar's demand and value. Look at geopolitical developments, monitor them and see what trends there might be. Increased tensions between the US and other major economies, the expansion of trade blocs using alternative currencies, or the imposition of further sanctions could all accelerate de-dollarization. And keep an eye out on technical innovation, say the adoption and development of cryptocurrencies and CBDCs. Widespread use of these digital alternatives could reduce reliance on traditional fiat currencies, including the dollar. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you see signs of de-dollarization in your own life? And more broadly, how are you preparing for a potential shift in the global financial order, where decentralization is the new game in town? Thanks for watching Futureflect, and I'll catch you next time. And as always, stay curious to stay ahead.